All right, Mac 248, production procedures. Today's date is the 12th of March. We had the midterm exam last week. So today we recapped the goal really quickly. What we learned in there was a process called the theory of constraints. Identify the bottlenecks, exploit and get a little bit more improvement out of the bottlenecks. Subordinate everything else that you're doing in the plant to the effort to improve what's happening on the bottlenecks. Then make sure that you are not neglecting the non-bottleneck resources and that you're timing the release of your material properly to get best flow through the plant. The last step of it was elevate the constraint and then repeat the process, making sure that inertia does not take over. Inertia, being an object staying at rest, tends to stay that way. Status quo is the enemy of continuous improvement. So I'm very happy with what I've seen in the papers and with the cooperation I got from everybody in this class as far as reading the book thoroughly. Thank you for that. I moved then on to our final paper, which is going to be 3 pages, minimum 4 pages, double spaced, and it's going to have the parameters what we decided on today. We had all kinds of different ideas for what our production process was going to be, but we ended up with any process or project that you want to describe and write this paper on is going to be okay. You're going to probably use one that you have experience with, though. Even if you worked in a fast food restaurant, or you provided food, or you currently work in a machine shop that's doing continuous improvement, you can pick any of those processes. It's just that you may not write this paper on a purely personal level. We are not interested in that, and that's not going to help you after you get out of here. So the paper, I went over the rubric for the paper. This paper, if you want to get an A grade, is going to be a complete production process, analyzed and described. It will be backed up with data that is either of your own making, if you're describing a process in our shop, or of whatever process or project that you worked on before. You will get data for it and back up your assertions. Then it will be anything that comes from outside, you will cite and give credit to wherever you got that data. The paper will include realistic ideas for improvement. That means non-grandiose but easily achievable small incremental improvements that will help people coming after you, or should. That should be your ethic for it. And last, the paper will include a good closing, which means you think about the politics of what you're saying. You don't just bluntly step on people's toes. You couch your findings in an acceptable format so that, that people can act on it and that they'll want to act on your recommendations. I think if you do this and you get an A on this paper, you will leave this course with some very useful skills. All right, the last thing we did was we observed in our new textbook here that we went through the different chapters and we decided on a starting place. We picked chapter 8, and your homework is going to be to read pages 124 through 136. It just so happens that gets us right into the theory of constraints. All the stuff you learned in the goal dumped right into this book in another format. Because I'm hoping on this paper that you're going to write in the old deductive essay format, I'm hoping in this paper that you'll choose 1 or 2 ways as the template for your paper. It will be either the theory of constraints with those 5 focusing steps that I just described, or it'll be the good old project management templates that I have posted online and on that flow chart. of initiate, plan, execute, measure, control, and close. Those two processes could be very useful to efficiently getting this paper done. Anytime you have the paper done, you can hand it in. And my office is always open. I want to see, before you write the paper though, I want to see your thesis statement that would go right up in here, or maybe it's here. I don't know. I want to know what you're going to write your paper about and your general idea for how you're going to get it. I hate to see you waste your time and have to redo anything. So we'll do a good initiation on the project that it takes to write the paper. Thank you, and we'll see you next week, and we'll finish up. One last thing I wanted to say was, in this book, you don't have to read this book as thoroughly as you read the goal. Skim through the chapters. Underline things that you find interesting. In class, keep a highlighter with you and highlight the things that I tell you about, because I'm going to have you skim these chapters. We're going to have excellent chapter reviews where I'm just going to give away what's going to be on the test and what you have to study for. So that's how we're going to go from here on. Thanks for your cooperation in reading the goal.